blowers in the camera. Look like that line there. You got air in the tank. It's not running hot. It's running about 20 minutes with the bush hog on. It's not hot. It sounds like that line is sucking air. I can feel that line vibrating. Anyway, the reason I stopped, really, I attempted one video at the house on this, and I don't say it got ruined, but it got messed up because I don't know how long it'll be, so I took my alternator draws. Someone asked me in the comments on show the hitch on the Super A. Well, I done showed that hitch multiple times. This is the 140. It's got all the toolbars and all under it. Lift under the center. I think one thing I had to do too, I'm gonna mention it while I'm down here in a hunting path. I took it down here to try it out on a hunting pass. I just come down here and snip them little saplings off the side and then come back up and hit this on the way out. And we're gonna work on these mud holes with the box blade and the belly blade. I might try to plow a little trench. I missed my opportunity. I should have worked on these mud holes while I was nice and dry. But anyway, this video ain't about mud holes. I'm gonna show the 140 one because the Super A, I've showed it in multiple videos, and that is an aftermarket hitch that you can still buy today. I think it's $6.99 or $7.99. And it's basically a flat piece of steel that goes in here. There's a flat piece of steel with two little ears on it to hook over this to keep it from sliding, and the U-bolts to it. And it's got the little two ears on here. It's got the plate down here with the two arms on it. I'm not going to show that one. I've showed that one multiple times. This happens to be a homemade one. And on your rock shaft here, someone has welded 2 years here with a hole in it. I guess. It may be something that comes on the 1-point hitch. I don't know. I don't have a 1-point hitch. I'll explain in a minute why this tractor probably doesn't have a 1-point hitch. I don't know for sure. That's just a flat piece of steel welded to this. I think that whatever size holes these pins are, that's the size bolt someone welded in there. Flat piece of steel with a hole through it, put a bolt through it, yay long, and put a hole in the end of the bolt, put a clip in it. You can buy, I guess you could just buy one of these pins like this and just bolt it through the plate, or weld it to the plate. Just one of these pins and put a clip on it. That's what someone did at home. Whoever did it, I didn't do it. I purchased the tractor this way, which is working fine for me. I mean, it's working. I want to move this around here. I see some of them, they're out here. I want to move that out here, get it away from these arms. That'll give me more swaying space. I want to move these clamps around. I just ain't done it. I'm trying to stick all the kinks out of this thing. All kinds of kinks here. The hydraulic pump was one of them. It's not overheating. Got a little whine to it. It's got an air suction somewhere, but it's working fine. These arms, I think you can buy these at Tractor Supply. They're basically, they come off like a 8-in Ford, 9-in or 2-in or a Ferguson. This here. It's just a flat piece of steel welded to the top of the square toolbar with a bolt that you can just take one of these pins right here, one of these pins, and bolt it through there, and even weld it if you want. And I'm gonna show the 140 one because almost every farmall, whether you have a Cub, a Super A, a 100, a 130, a 140, you got these toolbars on the back. Now, it's another simple way you can do this. I've thought about it. I haven't done it, but I've gave it some thought on doing it. Because everything's in such a bind right here. You can buy these replacement ears at Tractor Supply. It's just this piece and it's about this long. Just a little end piece. Go to the machine shop, tell them to get you a piece of square tubing that will slide over this. and weld it to the square tubing. Well, one of these little replacement ends at Track Supply, take one of these little replacement ears, they're about this long, it's just this end piece, and weld it to the piece of square tubing that'll slide over this bar. And then put your 2 pieces of metal up there to hook your top link in. And you can slide, when you slide this off, the implement will be a whole lot easier to hook up to, because you can just back up to the implement. These are racked all the way out, so don't think that these. That's how I'm gonna move this. It's a lot of pressure on these. These are racked out. These are racked out to the side the way they are. They're racked out this way. So if it comes to the end, I'm 99% sure it'll fit. If nothing else, weld this piece to the end of your square tubing, right to the end of it, and it'll be sticking over far enough. Weld it right to the end of it. So when it comes over on this, your piece of square tubing that'll slide over this, get one of these little ends, these replacement ends for category 1 hitch from Track Supply, and weld it to the end of that square tubing, and you slide it right back up to your implement, slide it right over that, hook right up, and put your 2 pieces of metal up there. Super A, like I said, the Super A has a brought aftermarket kit, and they still sell those. They're really expensive. They're $6 or $7.99, but you can still buy them. But if you want something simple, you can do it that way. Where's your piece of metal on top? Or you can get your piece of square tubing that'll slide over this and weld one of these replacement ears. You can get, if you can weld yourself, you're fine. But if you got to pay someone to weld, that's something else, that's another topic. If you got to pay someone to do the welding, you may be better off just to, that's got to be welded. I mean, whether you make the whole plate that goes all the way across, or it doesn't matter. If you make the plate that goes all the way across, and the plate hooks in here with 2 U-bolts, it's got ears that set over this bar so it don't twist on the rock shaft, and it's got the 2 little ears on it. It doesn't matter if you make one or not, or if you just weld the ear straight to the bar. You got to weld. So if you ain't got no way of welding, you got to pay someone. You might want to price all that, because you may be cheaper. Either way, if you go this route with the square tubing pieces, this is something I thought of. I have not tried it. This is something I thought of. Like, why can't you do it like this? But either way, you got to weld. If you don't have a welder, you got to pay someone. You need to put that in some thought into it before you go to the machine shop and say, hey, make me this. Then you get a $500 bill for welding, or $400 bill, or whatever. It's something else. I cannot promise you how much weight these spent. You keep in mind, you're bolted through number defender, and they're pretty stout. I picked up 6-foot bush hog, 6-foot disc, smoothing disc, and this bush hog. It's 2 heaviest things I pick up with this. I haven't had no fender issues on this one or the A. I can't promise you that your bush hog will be heavier, or your disc, this 5 or 6 foot, and you fold your fenders down. I can't guarantee you that. I can tell you I haven't had that problem yet. I've had this bush hog on the Super A. If the 4-footer would have fitted this one, I might would have kept it on the Super A a little longer, but I honestly believe if it wasn't a weight issue of your bar stuff over there, if I had a helper, if I go to Birch store one day, I'm gonna get me a helper spring. It's a helper spring. Oh, make me look like a liar. It's a helper spring that bolts, I want to say here. That had it on there, looked like one point of time. I think the bolts rung off in the engine. It's a helper spring that bolts in here somewhere in one of these holes, and it hooks here. That's why that hole is so big. That helper spring hooks in here and help push the hydraulics up. Because you're really overdoing it probably with this 5-foot bush hog, because you gotta keep in mind, When this thing was made in 1950, this is the late 50s, early 60s. This is the first model 140. This thing was only made and designed to pick up plow feet. Being in belly cultivators, 50, 100 pounds. I don't know how much these bush hogs weigh, but it's probably four times more than what it's designed to pick up. And keep in mind too, the longer you make them arms, the more effort it takes to pick it up. It wouldn't hurt my feelings that these were shorter. See, that's why I was thinking about just using this bar. I thought about that, but this is working. It's working the way it is. I need to get it off. I need to move these over and get them off of that bar. But that's your homemade 3-point for farmall, offset farmall. You got your toolbar, jumping your toolbars on the back. Super A is a store-bought one. It's not homemade. Just keep in mind with your weight. You can perhaps rip that out the end. You really need a helper spring. I really strongly encourage the helper spring. I don't know if the helper spring will work on a Super A because I think the Super A has a little small hole over here, like it is on the other side. I mean by the small hole, I believe the Super A might have the small hole here made for your, get the camera up here, where can I find it? This is made for your fertilizer side dresser. It's a little small hole. I think the Super A may have a small hole over there. You may not be able to put a helper spring on the Super A. One day I'm bored, I'm gonna ride the Mustang somewhere and get me a factory grill. That bothers me. I hate that. It's about a new grill though. I know Brush Store sells these helper springs, the entire one. I think I'm gonna keep using this bush hog on it. I'm gonna get me a helper spring. What that helper spring does, it helps pick this up. That's what it does. It pulls back on this to help pick it up. I may have that wrong. No, well, that'd be pulling that way. That'd be pulling it down. I thought this was a helper spring. The helper spring may have been back here. It's supposed to have a helper spring. May have been here. See, that would be pushing that way. Yeah. I think this big spring I'm thinking about. No, I'm wrong. The little side hopper one is over here on your front one. I'm not sure if the Super A has that hole or not. I thought the big one here was the helper spring. I'm looking at it now. That's gonna pull down. The helper spring must go on the rear here. Yeah, cause that would be pushing up. But anyway, that's 3-point hitch set up for your farmall.